What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Kari.HQ here, back again with another video. Today I'm gonna be making my 10,000 kilometer review for my motorcycle, the XTZ 250 from Yamaha. I've been owning this motorcycle for about 10 months or so, and I've already passed 11,000 kilometers. I did one extra 1,000 for good luck before I did my review. So today I'm gonna talk to you guys about the pros, the cons, and what I learned with this bike. Really, this is my first motorcycle ever, and I bought it here in Colombia. So, like I said, first I'm gonna go over my key takeaways and some positives about the bike. Then I'm gonna talk about all the things that I changed on this bike. And then after that, we'll go into some negatives about this bike, because nothing's perfect in life. We all know that. And finally, I'll wrap it up with a conclusion. So guys, stay tuned to this video. Lock in. I'm coming live from Medellin, Colombia. As you can see behind me, I found a beautiful spot with a nice view for you guys today. So let's get into it. And yeah, guys, you're gonna wanna stick around to the end, because we're gonna hop on this bike here in Las Palmas in Medellin and take a quick spin around the block towards the end of this video. So stay tuned for that. So first things first, guys. It took me about 9 months to do 10,000 kilometers on this bike. So I'd say that's pretty quick, guys. You know, I was driving, going on a lot of trips, and at the time I was living at a far part of the city. So to even come into town, come into where most of my friends and stuff were, I had to drive far. So I was using this baby for everything, pretty much every day. So yeah, I did the mileage pretty quickly. Again, if you haven't watched my other video on this bike, I paid roughly around 5,000 US dollars for this bike. At the time it was about 25, 26 million Colombian pesos. But what this bike has allowed me to do, guys, is the crazy part. That's where all the value comes into play. All right, I've been able to go places around this country that I never would have went if it wasn't for this bike, and I did it at a lower cost, right? And I did it seeing the whole country in between. That's the cool thing about this bike, or owning a bike in general. It doesn't have to be this bike. But that's the cool thing about, you know, discovering, you know, a country on bikes. I've also joined groups here through Facebook and other social media with other people that own bikes as well. And that's, you know, opened up new friend groups and things like that, new contacts. So that's awesome. That's what owning a bike can do for you. Not really specific to this bike, but in my case, that's my experience. All right, so a big topic with anything of value, especially a vehicle, is reliability. That's one of the positives of this bike, right? We're getting into the positives, and reliability on a Yamaha is an A+, guys. You don't have to worry about a Yamaha breaking down. It doesn't matter if you're in Thailand, if you're in Chile, if you're in, you know, wherever you are, you can also find parts for this bike. So that's very important. The parts availability for this bike is pretty phenomenal, right? This isn't a bike that is sold in the United States, so you might not find parts there in the United States, but rest assured, if it was, there would be a million parts for it there, and I'm sure some of the parts from other Yamaha bikes will cross over to this bike in the United States. But you don't have to worry about that, because you ain't gonna get this bike in the United States. This is exclusive to certain regions of the world, and Yamaha does not sell it there, and I don't even think you can import it. I'm sure there's a way, but it's, you know, it's highly unlikely that you'll see one of these in the US. Anyway, this bike has had zero mechanical issues, guys. This engine right here is still a little warm. I've been setting up, so it cooled off a little bit, but it's still a little warm. This engine right here, I'm not gonna touch it hard for a long time because it's still hot, is amazing. It runs, it runs. They say corre in Spanish, se corre. they would say it runs. It's like a good bike. You know what I mean? It's reliable. It's going places. You don't have to worry about that. This thing, I mean, 10,000 kilometers is a lot of road. That's a lot of traveling. And not to have any mechanical issues, not even a flat tire, is amazing. I just changed the oil, right? After the first 1,000 kilometers, and then I did it at 5,000 kilometers, I changed it again, and I changed it at 10,000 kilometers again. And at 10,000, we replaced some other stuff, like the brake pads and some other things, some fluids, you know, and things like that. So maintenance is cheap. You know, it wasn't even $100. Well under $100, maybe like 40 bucks to get this thing serviced, you know. So, and I go to the place where I bought it to get it serviced. Shout out to Moto Work, man. Shout out to my boys at Moto Work. Shout out Carlos, man. Y'all go tap in with Moto Work right now. Follow them on social media. If you're in the market to get a motorcycle, you better go to Moto Work for that Yamaha goodness, guys. That Yamaha goodness is what they got over there at Moto Work. Shout out to you guys. So a lot of time I hear discussion about what can you do with this bike? You know, what's the idea of this bike? Every bike has its ethos and what it's meant to do. Really, with this bike, you gotta ask, what can't you do, right? Because this bike can do pretty much about anything except for go really fast, right? It can go over any terrain, just almost as good as a dirt bike or something, you know? I mean, probably if it was between the Tenere and this, and we're talking really bad terrain, I would probably choose this because it's a lot lighter, right? It's easier to handle and maneuver. You don't have as much power, but like I said, it's not meant to go fast. This is not a bike to go fast at all. If that's what you want to do, there's plenty of other options for you. But that being said, going up hills, which you have to do here a lot in Colombia, is easy for this bike. It's not a challenge. You're not gonna go, you know, 80 kilometers, maybe 90 kilometers up a steep hill on this bike, but it goes up a hill, any hill I've been on here in Medellin, I'm talking like steep stuff. With the passenger, I've had no problems. I've had zero problems with this bike. Yeah, could it use a little bit more power? You know, could it have been a 450? Sure, that would have been awesome. If they made this in a 450, I would probably buy it, right? Just to have a little bit more power. I'm not saying the power is perfect, right? I'll get into that a little bit more on the negatives, right? But for all intensive purposes, this bike has a ton of power, and the torque, you know, torque is what really pushes you out of those steep hill situations, those muddy situations and things like that. It's awesome. It's awesome. You're not gonna be like, oh man, I'm mad I bought this bike because it doesn't have enough power. That's just not gonna happen with this bike. I promise you that. I promise you that. All right, I could go on and on about the positives of this bike, you know, but I think those are the main points. You know, there's also a very high fuel capacity. You know, it's a big tank. You can take a lot of fuel with you. Like when I went to Cali, I only had to refuel once. From here to Cali, only had to refuel one time. So that's incredible. What else? You know, I mean, the suspension is awesome. This suspension eats this type of terrain, the rocks, the dirt, the mud, it eats that alive, you know, and it's a very high bike. So, you know, ground clearance on this bike is pretty effing good, guys. The sex appeal of this bike, man, it's a sexy looking bike to me and to a lot of females as well, apparently. So, yeah, like to a girl from Medellin, that's the type of girls I generally date here. They love to get on the moto and ride around. They just absolutely love it because we can just hop on and go places and just have a fun time. Like, it's just cool. So sex appeal, this is an awesome bike to have for that. Like if you dating a girl here in Medellin and you got this bike, it's awesome. Because not only, it's something about a female on the back of a motorcycle or driving a motorcycle. Anything to do with beautiful females and motorcycles is the shit. One last positive that I want to throw out there is the sound. I'll start it out and I'll just show you right now about that sound. I really like how it sounds. It's not an overpowering, crazy sound, but it's got some good punch to it. So let's check it out. just at a low kind of. Yeah, it doesn't sound cheap. You know, it doesn't have a cheap sound. Like some bikes, they just sound cheap. This one, you know, although it's not the girthiest sound ever, it's got a good sound to it. I'm gonna cut her off. All right, so now let's talk about the things that I've changed on this bike. So I've done a lot of upgrades and changes, right? So first off, probably the most eye-catching one is gonna be the handlebars. The stock handlebars are fine, but they're a little bit lower and they're a little bit more kind of shorter. And I think these are much better. The Rinthal handlebars are awesome. Once I made that change, the bike just felt a lot more comfortable. I went from about here, maybe something like that, to out here. So you get, you know, more comfort that way. They also have pro taper risers. I changed the grips to Rinthal grips, and I put the Bark Busters on here from Australia. Shout out to Bark Busters. So that's my kind of setup with that. I also have a phone holder right here called Interphone. It works good. I did all this at Africa Moto, and I bought the handlebar at Moto Work. So yeah, I got the pieces at Moto Work and I installed it at Africa Moto. What other changes we got? So protection, I talked about this in the last video, but I put a skid plate and I have a radiator protector in the front. Also have a box that I can put on here. I don't have it on right now, but I'll show you what it looks like with the box on there. And this is the attachment for that box. It just snaps into place, very easy to snap on. Honestly, guys, that's it. I haven't changed anything else on this bike. Like, I thought about doing the exhaust, but the options, you know, there wasn't a lot of options for exhaust. Other than that, I'll change the tires soon, probably in like another 2 or 3K. And yeah, that's it. That's all I've done to this bike. So, you know, she's pretty stock, just like that. Perfect to me, right? One other thing that I did change on this bike before I forget is I put a GPS system on the bike. So these bikes do get stolen a bit here in Colombia. Bike theft is just a problem here in Colombia, theft in general and crime, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You already know the deal, not gonna go into it, but this is a bike that's stolen a lot apparently from what I hear. I had it almost a year and I've never gotten it stolen, but you know, I park in good places and I have a parking garage at my place where I live. So, you know, it's not often that I'm leaving it exposed on a street for it to get stolen. So anyway, I do have the GPS. I can cut the engine on the GPS. I can follow it wherever it goes, play it back, so on and so forth. Yeah. At this point, let's get into some of the negatives of this bike. Some of the things that you're like, Yamaha, why didn't y'all do this differently? I'm gonna start off with a light one. Maybe not everyone's had this experience, but the key. I think the key system could be a lot better. I put some oil in it, like some WD-40, and it did get a little better, but at first, the key was very stiff and hard to turn, and it's still kind of that way. It's not a smooth turning experience, key experience, or whatever. So that's one thing I think, you know, wouldn't be hard for Yamaha to improve upon. You know, I think it would go a long way because you do use that every time you get on the bike. So sometimes it's just annoying to fiddle with it. Another drawback to this bike is going to be the gauge cluster. It's a good, I mean, it's basic, it's okay. They could do better though. They could do a better gauge cluster than this. I would love to know what gear I'm in while I'm driving. It doesn't show you the gear, so that's one thing I would like to add. Maybe some color would be awesome. I even like the blue ones better than, like this one is one of those orange ones. Yeah, right? Yeah, now it'll look kind of orange, but I like the blue ones, and if you could add a little color, add some red in there, make it look cool. To me, I think they could do a little bit better with the gauge cluster. All right, another drawback to this bike is there's no hazard light system. So you can turn on the left blinker, you can turn on the right blinker, but you can't turn them both on at the same time. That kind of sucks if you want to indicate a hazard, but it is what it is. All right, now I haven't had to get this repaired or anything, but the clutch, man, The clutch system has had some failures in terms of the clutch making the engine die at like a stoplight or when you're ready to kind of take off, or at low speeds in a first gear, I think is usually when it happens. And it doesn't happen a lot. It's very rare, but it happens every once in a while where you can, I think it's a clutch failure or something that makes the engine die. You know, I don't think I'm stalling it per se, but I think sometimes it just, when I'm messing around with the clutch at a low speed, it kind of bogs it out and it might make the engine die. No big deal. And every time after I get it serviced, that usually improves. And then, after I drive it for a couple thousand Ks again, I might have it happen a little bit here and there, like very rarely though. It's not an everyday thing. It might happen a couple times a week. But yeah, it's a drawback to the bike. I wish it was always perfect all the time, but I think this probably happens with a lot of bikes. But yeah, could be a tighter clutch system, I think, but I know it's going to be reliable. Even though it might have a few issues, I know it's always going to work. It's not like that's caused it not to work, right? It's reliable. It works. All right, another thing, the brakes, they're just okay. The brakes could be a lot better. I wish there was some upgrade options for the brakes. I might look into that. I haven't looked into it much, but I was thinking about it the other day. Like, it would be really dope to upgrade these brakes and just have really strong brakes. But they're not horrible. They're not bad, They're just brakes. All right, one other thing. This is probably my final negative on this bike, but the exhaust. The color of the exhaust changes, probably because it's metal that's getting heated. Over time, it starts to look red or grayish, and it's not black, right? I got it restored once, and it was black for a couple months, but that's something that you gotta do a lot, and you actually have to take the thing off to do all that, so it's a pain in the ass. One thing that I would love to see is a really good aftermarket exhaust for this. To my knowledge, there's not a lot of options on the market for that. There's a lot of slip-on, but I need a full system to be able to replace that pipe so it doesn't change colors. I would rather just have a silver one, or maybe I can coat this one. Maybe there's a coating that will stay longer that I haven't found yet, but I'm gonna look into that. But yeah, I just wish it didn't change color from the factory, but it is what it is. All right, guys, I hope I've been helpful in this video. I hope that if you're considering buying this bike or getting into riding motorcycles here in Medellin, that you consider this bike if you're into the things I'm into, which is riding off-road as well as on-road, around the city, just kind of everything. This is a do-everything bike, to be honest with you. It's a do-everything bike. It's not too good in any one area. There's room for improvement in some areas, in most areas really, and that's the idea of this bike. It's a kind of middle of the road, do everything type of bike, and it's gonna be reliable, it's gonna last forever, and that's the deal. So with that being said, let's get on the bike. Let's just take it for a quick spin around Las Palmas. Guys, let me show you how this bike handles a little bit of the rough stuff. This is pretty much all rocks and dirt right here. So let's just take her on this real quick, just so you can see. All right, guys, take in that view one last time before we head out. Let's do it. You are rocking with 𝐥𝐤𝐤, live from Medellin, Colombia, on the XTZ 250. We out. As you can see, that's how it goes on this thing. Top up on the road. Las Palmas. Fix my mirror. Alright guys, so
We're already pretty much at the top. I'm gonna just go up to the top and turn around. But this is the Yamaha XTZ 250. All right, this is how it rides. You know what I mean? Look, got a speedster coming up. This is how they ride out here a lot of the times. But again, that's not what this bike is all about. So I'm just cruising, man. That's all I'm gonna do on this bike is just cruise. You stick to cruising, you'll be just fine on this bike. Doesn't mean one day I wouldn't go for something a little bit that has a little bit more power. This has power, guys. Look, I'm let me see, let me just pop down, get a little bit more torque, and just look, I'm doing 56 up a pretty steep hill. It's at 9,000 RPMs. Pop it up a gear, you're doing 70. Oh, so I was wrong. Earlier I said you couldn't do 80 uphill. So, bye-bye city. You can, you look, I mean, we're moving, guys. We are effing moving on this thing. And there's just so much talk online about this bike that it's not fast. It doesn't have a lot of power and this and that. I just don't get it. It's probably because I haven't been on many bikes, but to me this is a lot of power. I'm passing everybody else. Look, everybody else is, but out here they ride like 125 bikes, 150s and stuff like that. I mean, they also ride 1200s, but you know, those are not as common, let's say. Here's one of the beautiful malls up here in La Oriente de Antioquia, and it's just a bougie mall that they've recently made. This is the nice part of the suburbs, if you will. Like, this is where a lot of rich people live. You gotta have money over here. You pretty much need a car over here because everything is very, very spread out and far apart. This is the mall Indiana, as you can see by that sign right there. This is Indiana. And yeah, this is a little circle here, a little roundabout. They're having the farmers market. Actually, I kind of need to go to that market. But yeah, I might stop in real quick actually. Let's get around this circle without any issues. Yeah, see? Look, I mean, we're moving, bro. It's not a race bike or whatever, but you know, neither is like a DR650. You could get another enduro bike that has a lot more displacement, a bigger engine, and doesn't mean that they're gonna go a lot faster than this one. There's just not that much more. The way they built these enduro bikes, they don't make them for speed. So, buenos días, ¿cómo estás? Parquear acá. Acá, okay. Let's find a spot. It's tight. Oh, it is tight. I don't know. Let me see if I can whip around. I don't know what these guys are doing. And yeah, pop right in here. That works. There we go. Maybe he was waiting for this spot. I don't know, but snooze you lose. So, what's done is done. Didn't expect this in this video, but guys, let's go check out this farmer's market up here in the rich part of town of Medellin. Yeah. Look at all this money out here, man. Look at all these nice little cafes, restaurants, and everything. They're gonna tell me to take off my helmet in a minute. You can't walk around with a helmet like a mall and stuff, so let me take that off. Let me just pop this camera off for you guys. 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐿. So I'll pick back up when we get down to the market. The market in Colombia. So this lady's trying to offer me chocolate. Look at those eyes. You speak English, no? No, okay. This is their chocolate. Nutibara. Sí. Okay. Muy bueno. It's very good. Gracias. Good chocolate. I told y'all I came for something specific. So I didn't find it in the farmer's market, but in this bougie store at the same mall, they have all the sage you could ever want. And all type of other hippie stuff. Pink salts. There's all type of stuff. A lot of cool stuff we use for making sauces, salsas, lots of candles. This is pretty cool at this store. I hate those wind things. I don't hate them, but not my favorite things in the world. Anyway, just wanted to show you guys this little hippie store. They got some cool stuff. ¿Cómo se llama de esta tienda? Espíritu Tierra. Yeah, so ¿qué tal los jamones?
¿Estos?
Sí.
Son jabones de pique, esos son hechos de la planta de 𝐥𝐻𝐸. Son súper buenos para ropa blanca, que puedes bañar con ellos, maltrata la piel, lo utilizan muchas personas que sufren de dermatitis.
¿Y qué son esas cosas?
Ese es de tinta cerámica.
Es
Lo
arte.
puedes usar como para decoración, lo puedes colgar, lo puedes poner como en la cocina para poner recipientes calientes.
¿Qué significa namasate?
Este es el significado lo es por acá. El significado lo es por acá, es utilizado en las alturas, en las culturas orientales para saludar o despedirse.
Chévere. ¿Cuántos son esas?
Esta cuesta
85,500. Not bad. Cool. I came for. These smell really good. Okay, got all type of candles. Cool candles, look at that. Jolería. ¿Es tu tienda? ¿O qué? ¿Es tu tienda?
No, trabajo acá.
¿Tú eres una especialista en estas cosas? Como espiritual. ¿Espiritual?
No.
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 Pareces como si un poco hippie, ¿no?
¿Yo?
Sí.
¿Te parece?
Sí.
No.
No. Ok, bueno. Voy a llevar esa,
Vas a llevar la sangre.
por favor. Pero, ¿qué tal? Es muy chévere esa tienda.
Qué bueno.
Me pareció.
¿De dónde eres?
Acá, claro.
Colombiano no eres.
Sí,
No, hombre.
San Andrés. De San Andrés.
¿Qué?
De San Andrés. No. ¿Qué piensas? Adivinar. Adivinar. ¿Qué es?
Los
Es-
de San Andrés hablan así como si fueran gringos. Obvio. Vea.
No sabía.
Ni idea.
Bueno. Guys, I'm about to check out and get this sage, and then we're gonna hop back on the bike, go down a little bit of Las Palmas, and be out. Thanks for rocking with your boy Kari.HQ. Nah, tú tienes todo, de todo.
Hay de todo.
Hay de todo. Por los hippies. ¿Vives en la oriente o por la ciudad?
Vivo cerca, al frente, por donde está la torta.
Allá. Tu barrio.
Detrás de esa torta.
¿Qué tal la vida aquí?
Muy bueno.
Sí, ¿por qué?
Está todo muy cerca y pues la ciudad que precio
Sí. ¿Te gusta más viviendo acá?
que en la ciudad.
Sí. ¿Tienes familia?
Sí,
Como
hijos.
hijos, esposo.
No,
No.
son separados.
Ok. ¿Estás buscando esposo?
No.
Todos los chicos.
No, esposo. Qué pereza. No.
¿Por qué no? Los hombres son súper buenos.
No
No,
todos.
No
No
todos.
todos.
Ok, cuidamos, pero sí hay buenos.
Si hay alguno que otro debe haber por ahí bueno.
Sí, ¿te gusta?
Sí que.
¿Te gustaría?
No, pero esposos no, en ese momento no. Dedicada a mis
Bueno,
hijos.
ok, voy a presentarte un amigo de San Andrés.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, gracias. Si te puedo ayudar con algo, me dices, por favor.
Wow,
Gracias.
is that a room? ¿Es una habitación?
oficina.
Sí. Ah, that's so cool. They got an office up there with the windows and everything. They're doing it big in here. Getting major high. Hippie vibes all day. Hippie vibes. Hippie vibes. Got the expensive candles. Alright guys, we're back on the bike. I got my sage. We're good to go. Everything in the world is good and in order. Let's get out. So you saw me going uphill a little bit there. Now let's see what it's like going down the famous Las Palmas. Oh, all the rich folks living their life over here, just chilling. This is not the barrio lifestyle. This is definitely not the barrio lifestyle. This, to me, is comparable to, shit, pretty much any U.S. suburb. Like, the same type of cars, big fat sequoia there, you know? So, what you see about Colombia on the news, on TV, not always true. Look at that Porsche. Like, they got bread. Especially you go further out there, some really nice houses. Take my word for it. They got some nice old houses over here. Alright, so let's just see how it goes. We are I've never done that in my life. My head, like, my body did something that my head didn't tell it to do. I said shift up and it shifted down. Wow, that's scary, because you can slide out and lose traction like that very easily on this bike. There's no traction control for that. This is the summit of Medellin. Like, we're going right over the hill into the valley. Wow, there's some nice houses way back there. I gotta explore this area more, man. I would love to live up here. It's just awesome. So close still to the city and everything. Alright, so now here comes the downhill part. The famous Las Palmas. Thank you guys for rocking with me, man. This bike is beautiful. Like I was saying though, you can get out of whack because it's no traction control really. I mean, to slide this tire out, the back tire, is so easy. There's really two ways to do it, two main ways that I've done it. And one is yamming on the back brake really hard. That will slide out the back tire easily. And then what I did earlier just now, which was popping the gear down when you're already high up in revs, will also make the back tire slide out. It's never, like, it never crashed like that or nothing like that, but it's scary the first couple of times you do it as you get a feel for it. Now I can almost control it, like I could do like a tail slide almost, controlled one, because I just am not used to it now. I got a feel for it. But that's one of the learning curves of riding a motorcycle. That's why I filmed the video at right just a minute ago. And so yeah, you got to be careful, man. This bike is not one of those bikes that really drives itself. Like a couple of my buddies that have other bikes that have a lot more technology, i.e. think this one that's coming up right behind me, a BMW GS, right? Those are going to have a lot more technology. It's almost hard to crash those. I ain't gonna say it's hard to crash them, but they have a lot of traction control features, stability control features, and all type of stuff. And this bike is like analog. This is very old technology on this bike that I'm on. Wow, beautiful view. But yeah, you know, that's what this bike is. That's the pureness of this bike. It's a pure bike. It's I don't know, I like that type of stuff. Like, I like manual transmissions when it comes to cars. I still like the feel of a manual. So this is kind of up my alley. And look, you know, you can still float. You can still float if you know what you're doing. Like, when I first got this bike, I could never go down Las Palmas this fast. I used to be shitting bricks when I came down this hill the first few times, and now, you know, I can keep up. You know, I can make moves, even though it's, you know, it's got a lot of turns and twisties and all that, and the views is fucking. It really is hard to drive this road because you'll be constantly looking around at the views. That's the thing about this road that will get you. You gotta stay focused on the road. If you do that, you can be okay. But as you can see, like, look, there's that GS that passed me earlier. It's not just blowing by me, but I can't keep up with the GS that's trying to get away. I mean, maybe the 310, but nothing over a 600 GS wise I can keep up with. Nor can I really keep up with a XT660 or a DR. Like, if they're really trying to get away, they could pop out. But, you know, I won't be far behind. I won't be like, they won't dust me, but, yeah, I just gotta be careful. See, that's a splitter right there. I never could do that type of shit on this bike when I first got it. I used to creep down this road. But now, you know, you get confidence, and I don't even have to think about it, really. Like, the problem was before, I had to think about everything. Think about, oh, how do I tackle this corner? How do I do that? Like, this dude right here, man, he's been doing this shit all his life, bro. He can do this shit in his sleep. He's just rolling with the punches, you know? That's what riding is. But at first, you know, you don't have that muscle memory yet, so it's not fun sometimes. But that's what this bike was all about for me. just, you know, getting those first reps in, you know, so I could one day hit that hoe like this, you know. This is all part of the plan. And it's just a lot of fun now. Now you gotta know your limits though. Like, I ain't that dude. Like, he just gone. He's floating. I don't know how they do it sometimes. You see some dudes, they just be hitting corners, like texting. You know, it's just crazy. But they've been doing it all their life, so we got the feel. But this is a fun activity thing to do for me. Just relieve stress. I live right next to this road, Las Palmas, and I just come over here a lot lately. Just popping over, you know, just getting those reps in. Look at this. Look at that mountain. And yeah, it's just something I do. Like, for me to go up and down, it doesn't take that long. There's hardly ever traffic. There's some accident today on the way up. I think someone died. They said, I talked to a police lady and she was saying someone died. So what happens? But they're safe and sorry. Probably didn't need to honk at the guy, but just in case. Yeah, this is where they had it blocked off from, so there's an accident somewhere over here. But the thing is, people do some crazy stuff on this road. Like, really crazy stunts. This is where all the stunts go down at, and just in general, people drive the hell out of this road. The moto folks. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to show you as like a top of the XTZ 250, you know, hitting some roads here, hitting some twisties up in Las Palmas, Medellin, Colombia. Not a better place to be. It's harder to find a better place to own a motorcycle. California, maybe, you know. But yeah, it's just beautiful, beautiful day today. And this bike is just performed beautiful. Like, my takeaway on the first 10,000 kilometers, and by the way, we're already at 11,579 kilometers at this point where we are. So did a little bit extra for you guys so I could really make sure I had my opinions straightened out. And so yeah, it's just a great bike, man. I don't have too many regrets on the bike itself. I learned a new skill riding motorcycles, and that's all cool. Just like speaking Spanish, like life, you just keep learning and growing and learning new things, and this is one of them. And so this bike was my tool to do that. It's like when you buy, let's say you try to learn piano, and you get a cheap piano to start out with. Oh shit, tripping wrong. I think that's the speed camera. So anyway, you learn piano, you're trying to learn piano, you get a cheap little Casio to start off with. You bang out on that for a couple years, and then you move up to a Yamaha piano or a baby grand or something. I think I could turn right here actually. And yeah, so maybe one day I'll upgrade. But this is certainly a good start to my motorcycling journey, I feel. And like I said, it's just been a blast. Ton of fun on this baby girl. So anyway, that's gonna wrap up this video. Thanks for rocking with your boy, rocking with her, the XTZ 250 by Yamaha, made in Colombia. And this is a hell of a machine, guys. So with that, guys, get out and ride. Watch out for your motorcyclist if you are a car driver. Peace, love, and happiness. I'm out.
It's your boy Kari.𝐥𝐤. live and direct. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Share my video with somebody and drop a comment. Follow me on Instagram too. If you really want that real, Kari.𝐥𝐻𝐿 on Instagram as well. I'm out.